1. Neanderthal-Homo Sapiens hybrid skull discovered. 2. Unveiling the mystery, half-human, half-Neanderthal child skull discovered. 3. Discovering the hybrid skull, an ancient half-human, half-Neanderthal girl. 4. Neanderthal-Human hybrid child? New discovery shakes up ancient history. 1. Neanderthal-Homo Sapiens hybrid skull discovered. A 140,000-year-old skull discovered in Israel could rewrite our understanding of human evolution, and it might belong to a child born from a union between Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. This finding, based on a detailed anatomical analysis, challenges long-held assumptions about early human interactions and raises big questions about the origins of ritualized burial practices. But here's where it gets controversial. What if the first organized graves weren't created by Homo sapiens at all? The skull was unearthed in 1929 from Skhul Cave on Mount Carmel, part of a collection that included 16 hominins, 7 adults, 3 children, and scattered bones. For decades, researchers assumed these remains belonged to Homo sapiens, but one particular skull stood out. Its jawbone looked strangely different from typical Homo sapiens fossils, sparking debates that lasted nearly a century. Some scientists even proposed it belonged to a new species called Paleoanthropus palestinensis, while others insisted it was just a variation of Homo sapiens. Now, a groundbreaking study led by D'Ambercourt Molas of the Institute of Human Paleontology in France has used advanced CT scans to compare the skull with Neanderthal and Homo sapiens remains. The results? The child's skull structure matched Homo sapiens, but the jaw showed distinct Neanderthal traits. This mix of features suggests the child was a hybrid, a rare but possible outcome of interbreeding between the two species. But here's the twist: without DNA evidence, this conclusion remains speculative. John Hawks, a paleoanthropologist at the University of Wisconsin-Madison who wasn't involved in the study, cautions that physical traits alone can be misleading. Human populations are variable, he explains. Even without mixing with Neanderthals, we'd expect some anatomical differences. Still, the study highlights a critical shift in how we view early human interactions. We already know that Homo sapiens and Neanderthals interbred multiple times over the past 200,000 years. A 2018 discovery in Russia revealed a hybrid child of Neanderthals and Denisovans, proving such unions weren't just theoretical. The Levant, with its strategic position between Africa, Asia, and Europe, likely served as a crossroads for these encounters. As Danny Coutinho Nogueira of the University of Coimbra puts it, the region was a central bus station for ancient hominins. This new research forces us to reconsider the Skhul Cave burial site. Was it created by Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, or a mixed group? The ritualized nature of the grave, placing a child in a dedicated space, suggests complex social behaviors. But who exactly performed this act? Molas speculates that communities of different lineages might have shared traditions, blending their practices through contact or intermarriage. Yet, the big question remains: how common were these hybrids? Did they thrive, or were they rare anomalies? And if Neanderthals and Homo sapiens could interbreed, what does that say about their social structures and cultural exchanges? The answers could reshape our understanding of human history. But for now, this skull stands as a silent witness to a time when the lines between species were far more blurred than we ever imagined. What do you think? Was this child a one-off event, or does her existence hint at a more interconnected ancient world? Share your thoughts, because the debate is just getting started. 2. Unveiling the mystery, half-human, half-Neanderthal child skull discovered. What if the bones of a child from 100,000 years ago reveal a shocking truth about our ancient ancestors? A recent study has sparked a fiery debate in the world of paleoanthropology, suggesting that a skull discovered in Skhul Cave might belong to a hybrid, half-modern human, half-Neanderthal. But here's where it gets controversial. This isn't just about mixing species. It's about rewriting the narrative of human evolution and challenging long-held assumptions about our prehistoric past. And this is the part most people miss. Until now, scientists had no concrete evidence that such a hybrid could even survive. Let's dive into the details. The story begins with a fragmented skull and jawbone, long thought to belong to a Neanderthal. Over time, these pieces were glued back together with plaster, a common practice in older archaeological reconstructions. But modern technology has turned the tables. Researchers use CT scans to peer inside the ancient bones, checking whether the plaster had hidden crucial clues. They compared the skull's features to 3 Neanderthal specimens in Paris and found a mix of traits. The braincase and inner ear structure matched Homo sapiens, while the back of the skull and jawbone screamed Neanderthal. Imagine a child with a brain like ours but a jaw like their Neanderthal parent, a biological paradox that once seemed impossible. Co-author and Court Molas, a paleontologist in Paris, admitted she used to dismiss the idea of viable hybrids. Now her team's findings suggest otherwise. But not everyone's convinced. Skeptics argue that natural variation within human populations could explain the mixed features without interbreeding. John Hawks, a University of Wisconsin-Madison expert not involved in the study, called the research groundbreaking but warned that DNA analysis is the gold standard. Without genetic proof, he says, we can't rule out other explanations. This raises a provocative question: should we trust the bones alone, or do we need a DNA sample to settle the debate? The implications are huge. If this child was truly a hybrid, it could mean early humans and Neanderthals interacted more than we thought, even forming families. Yet, the child died young, leaving us to wonder, did these hybrids thrive, or were they rare and fragile? The study also forces us to revisit the assumption that Skhul Cave was a Homo sapiens graveyard. What if it was a shared burial site? As the dust settles on this discovery, one thing is clear: our evolutionary story is far messier than textbooks suggest. So, what do you think? Is this a one-off anomaly or proof of a hidden chapter in human history? Share your take in the comments below, because this debate is just getting started. Source: Lanthropology 2025. DI 10.1016/J.Anthro.2025.103385. 3. Discovering the hybrid skull, an ancient half-human, half-Neanderthal girl. A remarkable discovery has emerged from a skull that was excavated nearly a century ago, now believed to belong to a girl who was a fascinating blend of human and Neanderthal ancestry. This child, who tragically passed away at the tender age of 3, lived approximately 140,000 years ago, during the latter part of the Middle Pleistocene epoch. The remains of this young girl were uncovered in 1929 by archaeologists at the Skhul Cave, located just south of Haifa, Israel. During the excavation, they found a total of 10 skeletons, which included 7 adults and 3 children. The skeleton of the girl is notably well preserved, particularly on the left side, allowing for detailed analysis. While most of the skeletal remains were initially categorized as early Homo sapiens, there was ongoing debate among experts due to the presence of some unusual skeletal features that did not fit neatly into this classification. Recent studies utilizing advanced CT scanning technology have led researchers to propose that these remains may actually represent a hybrid species of ancient humans, as detailed in a paper published in the journal Anthropology. The analysis focused on key areas of the skull, including the neurocranium, which houses the brain, the mandible, which forms the lower jaw, and the teeth. The findings revealed characteristics that are indicative of both Homo sapiens and Neanderthals, suggesting a complex relationship between these two species. Interestingly, Neanderthals and Homo sapiens coexisted on Earth for about 5,400 years, a period during which they likely interbred and exchanged genetic material. This intermingling may have resulted in the birth of this hybrid child, as suggested by the study. Co-author and Court Molas from the Institute of Human Paleontology in Paris expressed her initial skepticism about the possibility of such hybridization. However, the results of their research have provided compelling evidence that it could indeed occur, even though this particular child did not survive past infancy. John Hawks, a researcher from the University of Wisconsin-Madison who was not involved in the study, remarked that this research might be the first to scientifically analyze the remains of the Skhul child. He noted that previous reconstructions, which were literally set in plaster, did not allow for a comprehensive comparison with a wider range of contemporary children to better understand the child's biology. Despite these promising findings, Hawks cautioned that a DNA sample would be essential to definitively confirm the study's conclusions. He pointed out that human populations exhibit significant variability, and physical traits can differ widely even among groups that have not mixed with ancient species like Neanderthals. This is not the first instance of a potential ancient human hybrid being discovered. In 2018, researchers analyzed a bone fragment from a cave in Russia and determined it belonged to a 13-year-old girl who was the offspring of a Neanderthal mother and a Denisovan father. What do you think about the implications of these findings? Could this change our understanding of human evolution? Share your thoughts in the comments. 4. Neanderthal-Human hybrid child? New discovery shakes up ancient history. Imagine uncovering a 140,000-year-old secret that could reshape our understanding of ancient human interactions. A recent study suggests that the skull of a 5-year-old girl found in the Skhul Cave on Mount Carmel may belong to a hybrid child of Neanderthal and Homo sapiens. This groundbreaking research, conducted by an international team of scientists, has the potential to alter our perceptions of interspecies relationships among early humans and sheds light on what might be the first organized burial in history, as reported by New Scientist and UNN. #Discovery background. The remains of this child were unearthed in 1929 during archaeological digs that revealed a group burial site containing 7 adults, 3 children, and bones from a total of 16 individuals, all initially classified as Homo sapiens. However, the peculiar structure of the child's lower jaw has sparked debate for nearly a century, raising questions about its true origins. New insights from advanced research. The latest study, led by Ndamber-Court-Malas from the Institute of Human Paleontology in France, utilized CT scans of the skull and compared it with the remains of Neanderthal children. The findings revealed distinct Neanderthal characteristics in the jaw, while the rest of the skull exhibited typical Homo sapiens features. This research marks the first scientific approach to analyzing the Skhul child's remains, as previous reconstructions were made from plaster and lacked the precision needed for meaningful comparisons. Implications of hybrid origins. The combination of these anatomical features strongly suggests that the child was of hybrid origin, despite having lived only 5 years. Historically, it was thought that such hybridizations were not viable, but this new evidence challenges that notion. Skepticism and the need for DNA analysis. Nevertheless, some scientists remain cautious about drawing definitive conclusions without DNA analysis, which is currently unfeasible. Critics argue that the significant internal variability within human populations means that external physical traits can be misleading without genetic validation. Historical context and future research. Modern genetic studies have confirmed numerous instances of gene exchange between Homo sapiens and Neanderthals over the last 200,000 years. For example, a 90,000-year-old bone fragment from Russia was identified as belonging to a Neanderthal-Denisovan hybrid in 2018. The Levant region, where the skull was discovered, likely served as a crucial crossroads for different species, given its strategic location between Africa, Asia, and Europe. Researchers speculate that this area may have been a hub for interspecies interactions, communities, and possibly even rituals. Unanswered questions. We still do not know who is responsible for burying this child, whether it was a single community or representatives from multiple lineages that coexisted and interacted. What is evident, however, is that emotions and rituals were already integral to the human experience at that time. Rethinking historical narratives. These new findings compel scientists to re-evaluate the long-held belief that the oldest burials were exclusively attributed to Homo sapiens, leaving open the intriguing question of who initiated the first memory rituals. What do you think? Could this discovery change our understanding of human evolution? Share your thoughts in the comments.